This is a conversation with Kevin Surace, CEO of Appvance, who brings a unique blend of experience across technology and entertainment. He focuses on AI-first strategies, highlighting how AI can dramatically boost productivity, especially in software QA, through automated script generation. I appreciated his perspective on staying curious, embracing change, and building a career around joy, consistency, and purpose. Very nice to meet you, Kevin. Thanks for joining the Humans and AI podcast. I appreciate your time and I appreciate that you wanted to join us. I've been checking your story, professional career more than your story. I found it very interesting because right now you are the CEO at Advance, but you've done so many things, like many things before this. There's one thing that I found very interesting, that you were a producer, so you have kind of experience in the entertainment field. So yeah, wow, like CEO,
Right
CTO,
there.
marketing.
Bunch of awards, yes.
So yeah,
Some over here too.
share a little bit of briefly your career and your background, just to understand a little bit more about you.
Yeah, sure. Look, I have two sides of my life. One is tech and very involved in AI and cybersecurity. I'm known as the father of the AI assistant. So I invented the darn thing that is being used today that you talk to, whether it's a Siri or Alexa or any of the voice interfaces that are used with ChatGPT and everything else. We did that work in the late 1990s. It's taken a long time to get better and better. I've got some 95 patents worldwide. I think a lot of them are in that field. The other side of my life is entertainment. And so I have been involved in creating and producing a number of films, as well as work on Broadway and the West End in London. And I'm a partner at a company called Wits End Productions. And that's what we work on. And I've won, 30 something film festivals on top of everything else. And I'm writing several musicals right now. I'm working on a documentary. And I have a lot on both sides of the brain. But I think one of the things you find is a lot of engineers play music or are involved in performing arts, a large number. And it's this left brain, right brain, good with math kind of thing. And we've seen this. So it's not a surprise. I think the big thing is I've tried to carve out some time in my life to do this other work. And now I'm doing a lot of it with AI. Like in fact, I'm working on if you want to know, I'm working on a musical called Love in the Key of AI, where we're heavily leveraging AI for parts of it. And the other part's 100% human, so that the audience can see the difference and hear the difference and feel the difference and argue about should AI be used in the arts in any way. It is a big argument. I would argue, yes, it's the next generation of tools and there's ways to use them appropriately like any tool. But these arguments are ongoing and they're ongoing in people's lives. So one thing I find interesting, when a potential audience member early on reads some of the drafts of this, it's some of what they're feeling in their life. Like they're in marketing and they're feeling, wow, will AI take my job? Or they're in sales, or they're in customer support, or they're in engineering. Is marketing going to take my purpose in life? Is AI going to take my purpose in life away because it does it so much better than I can? It's fascinating. So everyone's feeling this tension. We're probably going to feel that tension for the next decade.
Okay, so talking a little bit about this tension, do you think that there's a solution? Because it's true that I feel like many people around me, and sometimes myself, like if this, like what I do, AI can do it. So what am I gonna do after, like myself or the rest of the people? So have you thought about a solution or something that
Sure.
we could?
Look, we have seen these cycles over and over again. I think every news cycle, people say this one's different. And I know that people say AI is different than the other cycle. So look, we had smartphones, we had PCs on desktops, we had the internet. Lots of jobs got erased and new ones got created. That is true. When Excel came in the late 80s, if you were in finance, most of the finance jobs got erased by Excel, creating new finance jobs that were more strategic, and no one was adding up ledger lines with pencils anymore. Why? Because Excel did that. So we've seen these cycles, and I think that when people see this cycle, say, but this one's different, it's going to impact, no question. And there are certain tasks that are absolutely going away. So the obvious ones are software QA, manual testers, all of that's going to be gone. And that's maybe 3 million people out there, right? No question. Now, there will be new opportunities to be more strategic about all the data that we get, but those who don't want to embrace AI are just going to be wiped out. Customer support, at least tier one, AI can probably do a better job than any human in the job. Here's the new one just recently, that the latest coding assistants aren't assistants at all. They just code the whole application for you. So people who thought their sense of purpose was writing code, many of them I'm talking to every day, and they go, I had Claude Sonnet 4.6 do this, and it worked for 8 hours, and it wrote 20,000 lines of code and finished the entire application. I didn't have to write one line anymore. And they go, what am I going to do with my life? And I'm saying, your sense of purpose was never writing line by line. Your sense of purpose was getting the product out, getting that feature out, getting whatever it was you were doing. You thought that your sense of purpose was, I can code. No, that was a means to an end. Your sense of purpose was to get the thing out. So now you can get 10 times more out than you ever could, but using your taste and experience to do, and that can't be replaced. And that's where the value is going to come in all of these fields, from music to television to film to podcasting to whatever. You cannot replace it. You don't want to replace everyone's unique taste. Like, your taste and your experience is different than anyone else's, and we humans like that variety.
Yeah, I think that also the being authentic, right? This is something that AI cannot give you,
Yes.
that kind of authenticity. Like it looks real and feels real.
Well,
That's something.
Flora, the reason that is your authenticity for you is different than my authenticity for me, because humans are this hugely complex biological form where AI is absolutely being honest if it's done, and it's authentic, but pretty much it's going to be all the same because there's a bell curve, and unless you push it to one end or the other, it's just going to go right down the center and give you that. And humans will get sick of the authenticity of AI. Not that it's bad, not that we don't want to use it for everything we can use it for, but we've seen enough of that. And there's certain things online right now in social media that you look at and it's over. It's the funny cat thing done by AI, for example, right? And the first time you see the first 4 or 5, it's really great. And then the next 10, you go, okay, when you've seen the 500th funny cat video generated by AI, what was generated by AI, you've seen enough of them and you don't need to see that. In fact, what you yearn for is a conversation with someone who's being authentic and biological.
Yeah. So, as the CEO of Appvance, would you like to share a little bit what is your first share a little bit what do you guys do? What is the main role for you that, because now you guys are using generative AI to eliminate manual testing for what you are doing, but what is for what you do, your main role, what is the thing that you like the most?
Yeah, there's a lot one can ask me about. So I'm CEO of Appvance. I'm also running a cybersecurity company. And I do 30 to 40 keynotes a year. And I have my book coming out called The Joy Success Cycle. So I could talk about all of those. But in Appvance specifically, look, our goal is to take not only manual testing, but all the manual work out of finding bugs. So quality assurance is about finding bugs for the quality team or the engineering team before your users do, internal or external users, right? I want to see the bugs before my users find them. And so before I release, right? And we've got AI, in fact, we've got unique AI called AI script generation that will, based on your business rules, business logic, business requirements, find everywhere that those business requirements are not met and report them to you, and do so with essentially no human interaction at all. So what might have taken literally a team of 300 people 3 months to do, this will do in 6 hours equivalent work. And it'll find really every bug that could possibly be in the user flows of that application based on the business requirements that you need out of that application. Does that make sense? Literally, arguably replacing dozens and dozens of people. Now, can those people do other things? Yes, this is going to find 1,200 bugs instead of 12. And you have to decide, how many of those do I want to deal with? What are the priorities for them? How many do I give to engineering? Should I double check them? How many of these do I put into my normal regression tests, et cetera, et cetera? So there's work to do, but it might not be work for a team of 30 or 300. It might be work for one or two senior people, right? And so there's more junior people. In software QA, there are, I don't know, call it 1 million or 2 million people that do nothing but write scripts in some ancient language called Selenium or one of the other couple of languages, right? And they sit there and they write line by line. Okay, that job is gone. It actually is still there, except no one actually needs it because AI absolutely does that work today. You do not have to write a script. You do not have to write those lines of code. What will take you an hour and a half to write, AI will write in 1 minute. Why would you ever do that work? The only reason it's being done is a lot of people are trying to hang on to their teams. They don't want this change. They worked hard. They built a team of 200 Selenium scripters. The last thing they want is AI comes in and wipes out their team. They don't want that. I get that. However, that writing's on the wall because we have AI that does that today, 100%. In fact, we even have a free system called Instant QA, instantqa.ai, where you can go in for free. It will write your scripts for you from your test cases. Why are you paying people to do it when this thing will do it literally for free? So that's where we are. And so now there's a cultural follow-up, right? That culturally people have to eventually get in line and say, all right, what is my purpose? What do I do? Writing scripts isn't it. But I can be elevated and do a lot in QA and a lot in dev and a lot to make better product and faster product.
Okay, how about the mistakes that AI can create? Because also AI makes a lot of mistakes. So what is your perspective about that in this new era of AI?
So I think if you think AI makes a lot of mistakes, you're thinking about Gen AI 1, 2, or 3 years ago. You're not looking at Gen AI today. Can I force it to make mistakes? Of course I can. I can force it to tell me stupid things and it'll agree with me, right? You will agree that an orange is an apple and you will never vary from that. And what does it do? It agrees that an orange is an apple because I told it to. And then you say, why did you say that? You told me to say that, right? But no, people who know how to use Gen AI today, if you are using the latest coding tools, it does not make a mistake. It did a year ago, and 2 years ago, it was almost unusable. It was a little helper, a little co-pilot. Today, it writes your code. It writes the front end, the back end, the APIs, the interfaces. It meets your business requirements. That's not arguable. So in the test world, the days of, if you just go to a Gen AI model and say, write tests for this, it will not write the right ones. It will not write them well, and it will make mistakes. If you use something like instantqa.ai, that has 1,000 skills that keep it from doing that. So it will write good scripts. They all run. It will not make mistakes as long as your English description was correct. So I think the days of living with, oh, this thing can't write a script, true a year ago, still true if you go to a generic model, but a generic model that has been highly trained to do this task now is a very different outcome.
Okay. Do you believe the future belongs more to AI native founders or human centric leaders?
That's a great question. Okay. Great human-centric leaders had better be using AI 5 times an hour. And the best leaders I know are using AI 5 times an hour. And they are what we call an AI first company, right? AI first means instead of choosing any other tool, you choose AI first. And so you don't go to Word, you don't go to Excel, you don't go to PowerPoint. You go to AI and say, here's what I need, help me generate it. And maybe it will help you generate the PowerPoint, and then you'll go back to PowerPoint and make some edits and share that, something like that. AI first is going to make every leader, including a human-centric leader, 10 to 100 times faster and more competitive than the non-AI leader, right? Look, AI first doesn't mean that you don't manage with compassion, you don't manage with thoughtfulness, you don't manage with care for your employees. It doesn't mean that at all. In fact, arguably, it means you have to do more of that because you're executing so fast and you expect your teams to execute so fast. You could get out of sync very quickly. This collaboration and coordination and care for other employees to your side, employees above, employees below, I think is more important. That is, EQ gets more important because now we all have immense IQ, right? If you're using the tools right, you have 145 IQ, which you didn't naturally have, but now you do. This is fascinating. Then you better accentuate your EQ.
Okay. So You already mentioned this, but your latest book is called The Joy Success Cycle, right? So
Yeah.
the steps of the Joy Success Cycle that you outline are joy, energy, consistency, success, and more joy. Could you walk me through what each of those mean, an example on how it works in action?
Let me give you an easy way of how it works in action, right? I'm going to take you the before and after. So here's the before. And the before is most people probably on the planet. First thing they do is get out of bed and they go, oh, I didn't sleep that well. Oh, my knees hurt from exercise yesterday. And then they go in and go, oh, I got to make new coffee because it's so already we're not 2 minutes into the day. We've got 3 or 4 negatives, 3 or 4 complaints, even if it was to oneself, right? That's already going on. And what that's doing is that's taking away from your opportunity for the most success for the day, because you're already taking yourself, what we call the positive quotient, down. You don't want to take it down. If you woke up and you were at a 5 out of 10, let's say, and now you had 5 complaints, now you're at a 0. You got to build yourself back up from that. So one of my top rules, my number 1 rule, is you get 1 complaint a day. Now, the average, at least American, has about 100 complaints a day, internal and external. Because as humans, we like to complain. It's just what we do. We're drawn to do it. But when you take that out of your life, it brings you new energy. It brings your positive quotient up, and you can stay at a 10 the whole day. And now your chance for success is huge. So that means that every task you have to do today, every single task you have to look at as a joy moment, not a hateful moment. So I could come on a podcast and go, oh my God, it's another podcast. And by the way, I'm sure you've had guests who it seems that's how they entered the program. It's not your fault. It's what it is. You could also enter it that way. You could say, oh, another podcast. Or you can go, I'm going to take on this podcast with joy because I'm going to learn something. I'm going to talk about some of my stuff. I'm going to get asked questions that are interesting and thoughtful, and I have to think through them. I'm going to share some knowledge and educate others. Maybe I'll impact a few lives. Maybe I won't impact most of them. Who knows? But it's better than sitting at my desk and doing something else. So it's all how you enter every single task. And you know what's funny? You control that totally in your mind. Even sweeping the floor can be a horrific thing that you're angry about, or it can be, let me just get this done so I have a cleaner house, right? So it's all how you approach it. And that's a lot of what the book teaches. And the book goes through an entire, there's 13 or 14 chapters, right? A way of changing your life to be more successful. And you control it all, and it's really easy. You just have to know what to do and know how to measure it.
Okay, I love it. I love it. That's why I wanted to ask you this. So, do you think that maybe already now, but more in the future, AI can help to people to feel better, control that part of themselves, like not being so negative or complaining so much, but be more positive and be more energized and more excited about things?
It's all how they approach it. A lot of people are depressed when they think about AI. In fact, only in a recent study, about 19% of people in the US felt positive about AI, and 81% of people hated it for some reason. That's like hating Excel. That's dumb, right? You can hate it all you want, but it's here and it's not going away. And if you're going to spend all your time hating a machine, you are not going to be the most successful person in your career. You're going to be the least successful person. So get over it and find joy. Now, I find joy in using AI for everything I can because it allows me to turn out more product, more output, more thinking, more sparring with AI. I do a lot of sparring with AI. This is amazing, like 10 times more than I could have done a few years ago. So my brain is more active. I'm more joyful. I'm more joyful because I'm getting more product out, more output, whether it's coding or whether it's something else. It's amazing. So it's all how you approach it. So yes, it's like asking at the invention of the car, will the car bring more joy to people? Depends on how they use it. If they get in a car and now they can drive somewhere to see a relative they haven't seen in years, fabulous. If they get in a car and run over people because they're using it as a weapon, that might not bring joy to very many people, right? So it's all how you use the tools wisely. And yes, it's going to open up your life to more joy, more learning, more output, more sparring with AI. I love to spar with AI, love to argue with it. And I learned from that. So if you do that and use it like I use it, in the era of AI, we need more joy success cycle. And I think the book, which comes out in September, is going to be more important in the era of AI as people look for their sense of purpose and look for where joy is, and we tell them how to find it.
Great. So, what is the future for Appvance? What is your biggest vision for your startup?
Look, what we're trying to do for CIOs is help them identify across their landscape. So a major enterprise customer of ours might have 5 to 10,000 applications. A lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, there's 5 applications. No, they have 5 to 10,000 applications that they manage and update all the time. And out of those, maybe it's 1,000 that are really heavily in the update cycle all the time. People don't understand that's the order of magnitude in an enterprise, a large enterprise today. So we want to help them find their bugs find 10 times more bugs with 10 times less people. 10 times more bugs with 10 times less people. And we've been doing that for many of our customers who have been able to measure that 100x productivity improvement. Not 100%, 100 times, 100x productivity improvement. 10 times less people, 10 times more bugs. That is the vision. That's what we deliver. That's what we've been delivering. And there's no question at the CIO level, they love it. But if you go down a few tiers, they don't like it because we're finding bugs that they never found before. And we're doing it with a smaller team. And so if you're like a QA manager, you go, this is a terrible thing. If you're a CIO, you go, this is the best thing I've ever seen. So it depends on what level you are. But in the end, the CIO and the CFO win. In the end, they win. And in the end, what we've developed and what we put out there, which is highly unique, absolutely wins in the end. Now, is the end a month, a year, or 5 years from now? I don't know, because we've been doing this a long time. But I see more and more customers, say prospects, show up and say, listen, we've been on this other tool for 5 years. It's a recorder. We haven't gained any productivity. If what you say is true, I don't believe you, but if what you say is true, it's going to be unbelievable. And within a couple of months, they go, you're right, it's unbelievable. We should have come to you earlier. So that makes me happy.
That's great. Okay, Kevin, give me 3 lessons that you've learned all your career.
3 lessons? Sure, there's many. Stay curious, be humble, find your purpose and make it a joyful purpose. Some kind of purpose that really is going to impact humanity, impact the world, impact your life, impact something, right? There's an awful lot of people in the startup world, certainly, that are doing it just for the money. Statistically, the chance of you making a lot of money is almost 0. 1 in 1,000, 1 in 100, numbers like that. But those aren't the ones we read about. We read about Sam Altman. We read about Mark Zuckerberg. We read about people who are worth billions. We read about Elon, right? We don't read about the other 99.9% of people who started things that died within a year and didn't make it. In the industry that Appvance is in, we've easily seen a dozen startups, including Y Combinator graduates, come out, raise $5 or $10 million, and be dead within a year. And when I meet them, they say, Kevin, we just didn't understand how hard this field is. I said, yeah, you highly underestimate. You looked and said, oh, we could test some websites. Testing websites is easy. Go test SAP, ServiceNow, Salesforce that has 100,000 features. You go test that has 82 checkboxes on one page, and you got to figure out how to differentiate one from the other. You go test that, and then maybe you have a company. And they look at me and go, we had no idea. We thought you just test this marketing website. Yeah, okay, my mom could do that. You just didn't understand. So I think people misunderstand how difficult these things are. And I could go through every industry and tell you these same stories, right? It's easy to underestimate how hard it is to be highly differentiated in these marketplaces. And there are something like 5,000 AI startups that got funded. And about 5 years from now, maybe 50 of those will be left. Something like that, just statistically. Maybe 150 or 100. Okay, still, that's going to be maybe 1 in 100 make it. Maybe 1 in 100, right? Which means 99% didn't make it at all. Now, you can't get upset about that because those are the stats. And so I think when you go into these things, you know that's the stat, and you obviously believe you're not going to be one of those stats. You're going to be one of the winners. And you do everything you can to listen, to modify your business model, to be curious, to listen to your customers when they say, I don't want that, I want this, to solve the real pain points for the customers. All of those go into learning by having done this many times.
And so what skills should they develop to thrive in this AI world? Not only the early startup founders, but as well professionals who wants to also work in a corporate.
Got it. If you're not using AI 5 times an hour, start doing it. That means do everything first with AI. And they say, how do I learn? Do real work. Stop playing. When I speak at conferences, which is about 3 or 4 times a month. When I speak at conferences and I have people raise their hands, how many have played with AI? Everybody raises their hand. How many do real hard work 5 times an hour with AI? Everybody's hands go down. Maybe one person's up. And you go, okay, you have to convert from playing to actually doing real work. Like, I have a presentation. I have an Excel to go through. I have to analyze this data. Every single one of those can be done with AI. How are you going to learn how to do it? Start doing it. Try. Learn which models do what, which models are going to give you which kind of feedback, who's the most advanced in certain areas. I've got to analyze this video. Great. AI will do that, but you need to know which model will do that, how to do it, how to ask it what to look for, and how to spar with it when you don't agree with it, right? And as you learn those skills, which are experiential, you will become an expert and you will start using it 5 times an hour. And then you're going to look around at everyone else and say, why isn't everyone else doing what we're doing?
Okay, thanks, Kevin. So that's all. Thank you very much for your time, your good energy. I hope that you have a good time too. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Humans and AI podcast. We are here to spotlight the people making AI more human. One story at a time. See you in the next episode.